Welcome to Forge Sports Media. This is our 8th podcast.
Dude, 8 podcasts is kind of nice. That shows a little bit of consistency.
Yeah, I mean, we've been here week in and week out, and boy, do we have some good stuff for you guys today.
If you're not already aware, there's some pretty solid news that's come out just hours, or probably 12 hours before we're filming right now.
Yeah, the All-Star Weekend.
Actually, less than that. Yeah, definitely the All-Star Weekend.
And Goat Hill.
Yeah, in Goat Hill. Nothing else that's huge.
Definitely nothing about Gannon Burr. No, we'll talk about Gannon. And
we've got the All-Star Weekend. We've got the Challenge at Goat Hill, which we drafted for, which was fun.
that was fun.
I've been watching some of the post-produce.
Oh yeah,
it's been pretty fun to watch.
Who did that one?
Is it? Why am I?
Is it Central Coast?
Yeah, my brain said Central Coast, but I was like, well, the tournament's on the West Coast. Yes, it was Central Coast. Obviously, Gannon Burr leaving Prodigy. Pretty wild. So
yeah, we'll talk about that later.
That'll be a decent portion of what we talk about today. We've got new discs as usual. We've got Foshi's Fun and Games. We're going to pick up where we left off last week.
Oh, yeah.
And then I don't have a top 5 this week. I wanted to leave some time to talk about Gannon. Didn't have anything in particular that was just like burning in my heart.
I mean, the last 2 weeks have just been absolute fire. So sometimes you're going to need to take a week to take a break. I totally understand.
There's been a lot going on. Forge Sports Media has been scheming. Lots going on in the background.
Oh, absolutely.
We're prepping for a really nice season. So
yeah, we've got some things cooking we're excited about. So
we're excited for some events to make it out to this year, but we'll talk about that at another time. So to kick us off, All-Star Weekend, Foshi.
This is the official, unofficial start to the season. I'm really excited about this event. I've not actually watched it before.
What? I'm curious. Maybe before we get in to the actual happenings of the All-Star Weekend. What are your thoughts on the All-Star Weekend pretty much being like last year's All-Stars? It's not like most sports leagues have the All-Star Weekend-esque thing, the Pro Bowl, the NBA All-Star Game at the end of the season based on who's played the best.
Well, it's actually a lot of sports do it in the middle of the season.
Right.
So, but that doesn't really work in a sport like disc golf, I guess. So this is more of a showcase for the beginning of the season to get people hyped.
Yeah.
So I understand why they do it. I think it'd be more fun to do it towards the end of the season and have a little more flair to it.
Why don't you do it right before USDGC? I mean, I feel like
right after even.
Honestly, the weather's still good.
Yeah.
You kind of get a nice little wrap up. I mean, you've got so much going on between USDGC, the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. There's a lot.
The playoffs are happening right before that. So
Worlds has just happened, it feels like.
Yeah, so it makes sense to do it at the beginning of the season as kind of the Kickstarter, and you've got the big names that are out there.
You want to tell us about the teams?
Yeah, so Ricky and Paul were the team captains. Ricky finished number 1 overall last year, so he had the first pick, and then they snake drafted from there.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go through Team Ricky first, and we'll talk about which skill event they're doing. So they'll play singles, doubles, and then they'll also be participating in specific skill events.
Right.
Whether that's putting, distance, or accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
So Ricky went with Gannon Burr for his first pick.
Understandable.
Well, it's kind of surprising now if you think about it. We'll talk more about that later. But he picked, again, a guy throwing new discs, Simon Lizotte.
I'll be glad to see Simon throwing in a real format.
Yeah, and he'll be doing distance. I forgot to say that. And Gannon will be putting. Kyle Klein was the next pick, and he'll be doing distance as well. And then Ricky's team is followed up by James Conrad and Matty O for accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
That means Ricky will be doing putting. There's 2 in each category.
I think I'm most excited about Simon doing distance. Just really being post his injury and stuff. And obviously he had a great season last year. I just feel like we've seen Simon play a bunch of smart golf since the injury. And so to see him come out and have a chance to really showcase some distance, especially with the new plastic, will be just.
Oh man, do you think he uses one of the 14.5 speed discs?
Who knows? Simon could crush anything.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Kind of like a Calvin that he could probably throw the Eagle as far as a destroyer.
Yeah, I mean, you might even see him throw volts or something. That'd be pretty wild to win that event with throwing a fairway. But if anybody could do it, it would be Simon.
Definitely on Team Paul.
Yeah,
Paul decides to go accuracy. Understandable.
Yeah.
Calvin is taking distance. Picks Chris Dickerson for putting. Isaac Robinson
Man,
for putting. What a great putting duo. Kevin Jones runs distance, and Joel Freeman as the last pick, as you call the traditional Mr. Irrelevant.
I mean, it's hard to be the Mr. Irrelevant when he's in the
Do they
list of
only
top
call
12 players.
do they only call it Mr. Irrelevant in football because it's such a long draft? Do they do that in the NBA
Yes.
as well?
They might do it in baseball. They definitely don't do it in the NBA because I mean the
Pretty much
baseball
everybody's relevant.
the baseball draft is nuts. It's so long.
Yeah.
But Joel Freeman is definitely not irrelevant, and he's
At all.
I mean, I think he may have been undervalued here, but
I would agree.
let's break this down. We'll go by the putting teams, then followed by the accuracy teams, and then finish with the driving teams.
And putting, that's a wild matchup.
That is a wild matchup.
I have to go with Team Ricky. I think Gannon is such a good putter.
He's kind of streaky at times, and we have to assume the man's going to be using a brand new putter.
Do you think he's like in? Is it going to be that?
Yes, it has to be.
It has to, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll probably.
He's not going to make an announcement saying I'm leaving Prodigy and then proceed to throw it, unless.
Well, we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. Talk about it so bad. But so for that reason, I'm going to disagree with you and go with who I think might be the best putter on tour right now, and Isaac Robinson.
He is an amazing putter
And the most consistent golfer, maybe in this group, and Chris Dickerson. He's just steady as can be. And so I think that duo takes down Ricky and Gannon. But then going to accuracy, so we've got James Conrad and Matteo versus Macbeth and Joel Freeman.
That is just.
That is close, man.
I don't know if I. That feels like. What's the right way to say this? Other than maybe Paul, that's all the later picks in the draft.
Right.
Is accuracy just not fun to the other guys? Distance is really fun and super exciting. Putting is putting. I mean, you drive for show, putt for dough. And then accuracy is that in-between slot of, okay, this kind of fills a gap, but obviously, my goal isn't to make it in the basket. I guess I don't view the accuracy as fun, but obviously it's a skill competition. You have to do it.
Yeah, and so I think Paul actually may have made a mistake here. I think Chris Dickerson and himself would absolutely dominate. I think Joel will do a good job, but
totally.
But I mean, the robot chicken's the robot chicken for a reason. The man knows exactly where he's throwing the disc.
Oh yeah, which I don't know where I would put Joel. I mean, Joel kind of is an all-around kind of guy, so I think he plays that flex spot if could really fit anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. But I'm going to give the advantage to Paul here again. Just from the sheer fact of he's in that group.
I would agree with you on that one. I'll go 1 to Ricky, 1 to Paul. Though I think your point on Gannon and putting is a very fair point on what does happen this weekend.
I mean, he's still Gannon Burr, right? So it doesn't really matter.
Maybe he has. We'll talk about it later.
So
driving.
Okay, on this one, I've got to go Ricky. Because Simon is absolutely going to obliterate the competition.
You think he's going to throw further than Calvin?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they both are elite distance guys, and that'll be the competition to watch. No offense to Kyle or Kevin.
Hey, I'm all in for a little Crush Boy and previous Crush Boy.
Yeah, a little former Crush Boy with the current Crush Boy.
Dude, I mean that's a tag team right there.
Yeah, so I think Ricky takes that one. And then overall, which team do you think has the best chance to win in the singles and doubles?
Best chance, probably Team Ricky in my mind. I think Team Ricky's got doubles and singles in the bag.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree again. I'm a little heavy on Team Paul here, but I think, man, to have Joel Freeman be your last pick, I mean, he's got a solid roster there, and I don't see any holes in it at all. I think Team Paul takes it. Maybe we make a little wager on this.
Little wager? Here, how about this? If Team Paul wins, I'll throw lefty for 9 holes. If Team Ricky wins, you have to throw entirely righty for 9 holes.
Can I still putt right-handed?
No, you have to putt lefty. I forget. Trey's what one person we played with in a tournament called amphibious.
That guy was awesome.
Not ambidextrous.
That guy was awesome.
You have to putt lefty.
I can roll with that.
We'll go 9 holes and we'll film it.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll cut in the highlights. We'll post it in a podcast just as
we'll throw it up in there. So yeah, I'm down for that. We'll shake on it.
Let's make it happen. And this is overall overall, not just double.
Yes, whoever wins the whole thing.
Got it.
Yeah, so I'm all Team Paul.
That's a bet. Let's lead into some Goat Hill. We drafted for this one. This is a super fun one. It's always good to get a little bit of the way into drafting before the first tournament hits. You're a little comfortable.
Yeah,
Hill. What a tournament. What a group of people playing in an A tier.
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting. People are realizing that you need to play more events to get ready for the season because it's going to become harder and harder. I mean, Tour Card is going to require a 10-15 rating this next in 24. Yeah. So people are realizing, hey, if you're on the fringe there, you got to play tournaments and win A tiers and play more.
Definitely. So.
Even Paul played a Silver Series in the off season and won it, of course. But
makes sense. Especially your like smaller guys. I mean, I say smaller guys. Obviously, we can talk about Jacob Corda. Is it Cordis? That seems right.
Cordis, yeah, I would say Cordis.
Goes in and just barely loses to Eagle, with Eagle shooting a 12 under, insane hot round for the final round. I mean,
what was that round rated?
I do not know. I should have put that on here.
That's okay.
But Jacob goes through, kills it. Parker Welk goes and kills it. So I'm assuming Jacob also gets a bid to USDGC with that, right?
I believe
if Parker gets a bid to USDGC, then maybe Jacob has to.
Jacob,
right?
Either that or he already had it.
Right.
And so this is, I just want to shout out Jacob Cordis right here. It's not a name that I've actually heard until the beginning of the season, but he won La Mirada.
Yeah.
I mean, he beat like household names like Gavin Babcock and Luke Sampson. Luke Sampson, who won one of the wraparound events, and like that's no small feat. And then to compete with Eagle in that last round, Eagle shot 12 down. Jacob shot 11.
I know it was nuts.
Yeah, so they both
trying to see if I can pull up the particular rating for that round, but all in all, so he will be playing the Las Vegas Challenge. It looks like he's playing a very heavy Pro Tour season from what I can tell. I think the only thing we don't have him in for is Champions Cup, but I'm assuming that's also qualification based, right?
it'll be invite based. But I mean, I think Jacob's a guy to watch at Las Vegas because he's a relatively unknown name. He doesn't have a ton of pressure on him because, I mean,
that last round was a 10:53 and Eagle was 10:60, which surprises me because those sounded really hot comparative to everything. So,
but yeah, Eagle takes it down. That's no surprise to anybody, really. Eagle was buying far the heavy favorite there. I mean, it would have been like minus 500 on some betting odds there, probably.
So fun to watch overall. Obviously, Jacob, like you were saying, he goes beats some
really good names. Albert Tam. I mean, Gavin Babcock again.
Still confused. Was I just wrong? Drew Gibson was definitely on that list to begin with, right?
He definitely was. And then
this is a fun one. So we do a draft, and our buddy Jacob goes and picks Drew Gibson with his first pick. I want to say it was maybe like the third or fourth pick in a 6-man draft. And then Drew Gibson drops because in Arizona at the same exact time was the Waste Management Open
in ball golf.
And so he goes with Adam Hammis, and I think several others went out there.
Gossage was there. Ricky was there. Ricky Wysocki watched Ricky Fowler. Ace.
What a fun time. Yeah. The Waste Management is just like a nuts like golf event to go to. Like, we love disc golf. We love seeing like some of these tournaments where like the fans go nuts.
Yeah.
That is like the pinnacle of fans going absolutely crazy and it being encouraged. It's like the golfers get excited when that happens.
Yeah, it's like Des Moines or Maple Hill.
I don't like when people get mad at the fans for going that nuts. At the end of the day, you're getting paid because of these people coming and watching, and people like us watching at home. Not that I want every tournament to be that way, but like, I think it makes sense for people to go absolutely wild. Make a name for yourself.
Oh, for sure, man. For sure. But shout out to Eagle. Great job on the win there.
Definitely.
But it is time. We've hinted at it. We've even talked about it.
Trey, you called it. You called it. You, my friend, are just on disc golf media more than anybody I've... Like, just like the weird niche icebergs of disc golf media just out of nowhere. You're like, oh, look what I found on this like random website that like everybody thought shut down. Like, look what I was like talking about with some random people on Club Penguin.
Can I say it? You proved me wrong. Just
You did tell me so.
no. So a couple podcasts back, we talked about Gannon Burr selling some discs on Facebook, and I alluded to the fact that it was a little fishy doing that at the beginning of the season.
It was very odd. It was very odd.
But here we are. Gannon Burr releases a video on Instagram and YouTube announcing that he's leaving Prodigy. You know, on that podcast, like I said, I alluded to it. I was not 100% convinced that this was happening.
No, it definitely felt odd because
For sure.
as far as I'm concerned, Gannon's in the middle of a contract.
Right.
You mentioned, obviously contracts have buyouts.
Yeah.
They have ways to get out.
Got bought out. Chris last year left his contract.
Yeah. Gannon's was odd because he had already posted saying like, excited to be with Prodigy for 2023. So like, was this like a quick turnaround?
It must have been, right? Because like you said, he announced, and even up into this week, he was posting things about throwing his PA3s, throwing Prodigy discs, repping Prodigy discs. And so this, I mean, if you didn't see the Drew Gibson tweet and if you didn't listen to our podcast 2 weeks ago, you would know nothing about this.
No, I feel like it wasn't even really talked about much in Gannon's post.
Yeah, no, it really wasn't. So there was not much information other than him leaving Prodigy. So that leaves a lot up to speculation for us.
It's gonna be exactly what Drew said. I'm trying to see if I can find the tweet in particular to look back at.
I wonder if he deleted it.
Maybe we've got a screenshot of it somewhere. Well, I'll post it up on video regardless. I'll look for it for just a little bit longer, but it's going to be Discmania. It has to be Discmania. Which this is the writing on the wall. A quick movement when Discmania is also caught off guard by a Simon move that was unexpected. They have an unexpected amount of cash, and like you said, $1 million buyout from MVP for Simon's contract. It's a little bit of found money, as we would call it.
Yeah, I mean, do they just take all that money and give it to Gannon?
Oh, honestly, I would not surprise you. It would not surprise me.
Please don't surprise me.
I don't think I will.
But no, I think Drew probably had some information that he was not supposed to share that he did, and that'll make him a leaky leaker.
Which I can easily pull this up is I wonder if this comment from Drew on Gannon's post has anything to do with that. Gannon goes through, talks about it, and Drew Gibson said, "Love you no matter what," which could mean absolutely nothing. But I wonder if there is any, and again, if this was I don't know when Drew tweeted in comparison to the Simon stuff happening. I'm sure plenty of people knew about Simon for well before that. That's only a couple weeks. Maybe there is some Gannon and Drew Gibson animosity. That's speculation entirely.
Well, I mean, it goes all the way back to the way that they interacted at the Las Vegas Challenge last year. I mean, that was well received. They hugged it out. It was a great battle. Later on in the season, I don't know if you saw this, but Drew tweeted about Gannon taking forever on his putts.
Oh yeah, well because
he does.
Was this after the Nico stuff? Because I feel like time started getting talked about a lot, and Gannon immediately got brought up in that conversation.
Which he does on his putts, and a lot of his shots try to take the full time or longer. But
I think Discmania has to be it though, right?
So probably.
You think 90%, if not maybe a little higher?
I think I said to somebody earlier 97%. That's how I feel very, very confident.
Who else do you think is in the mix?
But I do think if you kind of look at the big players involved here, I mean, I don't think Discraft really has the spot for him.
No.
I mean, obviously MVP has no room at this point.
You would think they wouldn't have any room.
I mean, and he's leaving Prodigy.
I would say he's not going to a smaller brand that probably doesn't have the capital for somebody like him.
Nah, he's not going to sign with Daredevil Discs. But Innova is an intriguing option.
I'm curious as to your thoughts on why specifically Innova. Is it because of what we talked about probably 3 or 4 podcasts ago, where it's maybe Innova really needs a kind of new and upcoming top spot outside of Calvin.
Yeah, because I mean, Calvin is the established star there, right?
Right.
Obviously, he is their top guy. He performed super well this last year,
Right.
but there is kind of not maybe not a problem, but something going on with Team Innova where there's not a ton of young players on their roster. I mean, if you think about their guys that they are hyping up, you're looking at Greg Barsby,
Nate Sexton.
Jeremy Colling,
Uh,
Garrett Gurthie.
Yeah.
I mean, even
it's your historical disc golf pros, which are still good at disc golf. That's no shot at those guys. They are amazing disc golfers.
Yeah, for sure. But they're not going to be playing at this level for forever.
Right.
I mean, you're going to see some of these guys move to MP40 and just like not be able to play at the same level they were 5 years ago or even now.
Right.
Gannon Burr has probably 20 years
at least
of fantastic disc golf in him. Why wouldn't you not want to sign this man?
But that also leads into why did they not boost up Joel a little bit? Like we were already curious about that, and that was an open opportunity to do that.
Well, I mean, I've spoken highly of Joel on this podcast multiple times. He is no Gannon Burr.
Oh no, but you would think that leading into this.
Well, that's why they didn't bump him up, because they knew from the beginning.
Because they knew about the signing stuff, and they knew that was going to happen. So they knew that, okay, there's going to be a big riff. So let's go and save some money up, and then boom.
Yeah.
But again, 3%. You're not saying it's the main call.
Yeah.
But if there was another.
I will just, the last point there is like, Innova sells more discs than anybody.
Oh yeah,
they sell so many discs. I was talking to somebody, and they said that they looked at it recently, and in the States, Innova sold like 10 times as many discs as, or like had like, I guess, 10 times the profit than Prodigy.
Oh yeah.
So
I thought you were about to say 10 times as much as like number 2.
No. I mean, but like what I'm saying is like they have 10 times the amount of revenue to work with.
So you got.
And then Prodigy is, we know that they chose last season. They chose Kevin over Dickerson.
Right.
And so they've already allocated a lot of money to Kevin Jones. Kale Visca is also a guy. I mean, he's got his own line of discs.
Do you think they've allocated a ton of money to Kevin Jones, or do you think that Chris Dickerson just was going to get money from Discraft that they couldn't pay?
I think that they had to make a decision.
Okay. Do you think they did end up going and paying Kevin?
Oh, I think Kevin is making good money.
Okay.
I think for sure. I mean, he's a great player. He deserves to make great money.
You also brought up this idea of like, what if it's not a disc brand?
I mean,
tell them what you mean.
So I thought about this. What if we've seen this a couple of times in disc golf with even Paul McBeth and Kona Panis were a couple of the people that were involved with Adidas a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
They signed contracts with Adidas and were specifically marketing the Terexes.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of a better person that you could try to model around if one of these bigger companies, the Adidas, the Nike, the Under Armour, the Puma, whoever it might be, like Gannon is a young star. He's a major champion. He's going to win more majors. He's going to win world championships. Oh, yeah. There is no reason, there is no better person for like one of these mainstream companies to go after.
Right.
And so I think this is less likely than Innova, but it's kind of fun to speculate. I mean, how sick would that be if, come around Friday, Gannon's still holding his PA3s.
What if
and he's
Van sponsors?
But he's just decked out in Nike.
That would be unreal.
And then
Nike produces their own discs too.
Dude,
before he still gets to play with product.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like he still he gets to throw a mixed bag until Nike starts making discs.
Do you think he would throw full on mixed, or do you think he would
Oh, he would definitely
with his bag that he has.
Oh no! That man would throw.
Do you think so?
I think he'd probably throw some destroyers in there. He'd probably throw some zones in there. I think that man would run mixed bag until Nike started making discs.
Lord, there's so many like big disc opportunities that we think are being undervalued. Mine in particular would be that Nintendo needs to make a disc deal and start selling like the Mario, the Luigi, the Yoshi as individual discs. You could even partner with like a major manufacturer and absolutely get the bag.
Well, I mean, you've seen it with this, like with some of the Star Wars stuff with Discraft. Like, who doesn't want a Grogu Luna?
It's literally
But
nuts.
I think you expand even further on the Nintendo one and sneak into some
Was this
Pokemon.
July 10th of last year? Here we go. I messaged Nintendo of America or on Instagram. This had to have been, yeah, this is last year, July 10th. And I said, I've got an idea for you. I know whoever reading this has absolutely no power over actually making this idea happen, but let's have a shot. And I told him about making discs. The Goomba is a putter, the Metroid is the mid range, the Mario Fireball style, like the Chris Dickerson disc,
Oh,
is like a distance driver.
I love that. And
Pokemon Evolution.
that's what I was about to get at.
Yeah.
You'd have the Charmander be a putter,
Yeah.
the Charmeleon's a mid range,
And then a distance driver.
is the Charizard, and then
Or you do like fairway driver and then like
the Mega Charizard.
yeah, we continue to nerd out. So
Oh man.
we'll see where the Gannon stuff goes. More than likely, what's going to happen is we're going to stop recording tonight. I'm going to edit this podcast up real quick. I'm going to hit the post button tomorrow whenever we decide to post it.
5 minutes later,
boom,
Ganon
to Discmania.
Ganon to Gateway.
Ganon to Nintendo. Which,
Oh man,
what better guy? A young blood to Nintendo.
I mean, I could see it.
All right, let's talk new discs, Trey. What you got for it?
Yeah, so I was talking to Thomas earlier, and I was like, "Oh, there's no new discs. We can skip this segment." And then they post 3, like right as I'm looking at it. So, and they're from some major companies. So this is exciting. So, Discmania. We've been talking a lot about Discmania here, potentially making some big moves. They're also making a new disc, the MD5, which is a disc that they produced before when Innova was making their molds. So I'm expecting this to be a retool of the original MD5, which is an extremely overstable mid-range.
Right.
The numbers kind of coincide with that on the comparing it to the original MD5. So
it always confuses me because what is it? Discmania does it like the opposite way of Prodigy. Prodigy gets more unstable the higher the number gets, whereas
that is true.
Discmania goes the opposite way.
I hadn't thought about that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So
it confuses me because I started off throwing Prodigy and then only recently really picked up throwing it like any Discmania.
Yeah, so that should be a good disc. I'll probably pick it up just because I really like overstable mids.
Right.
But and then Prodigy has a new disc, and it's not named traditionally. It is the Feedback.
Gotta love a good old Kevin Jones disc.
I'm assuming, right?
It has to. They're all like DJ, like
oriented names, and so and it doesn't really fit the Kale line.
No.
Kale's names are a little more interesting,
right?
The Strider and the Falcor,
right?
But looking at some of the specs for this disc, it appears that it's going to be around a 7-speed, so a new fairway driver. And the Kevin Jones line, that's not something he has yet. I'm actually pretty excited about this. I've recently fallen in love with 7 speeds. Been throwing some Clash discs.
Dude, the
cookie and the soda.
Yeah, I've been throwing those well.
So love those discs and love 7 speeds. So let's I'll probably be checking out the Feedback.
Definitely. You've got one from Innova.
Yeah, I love this name. The Juggernaut.
It's like a little Call of Duty.
It just sounds fast, and it should be fast. It looks like it's going to be an 11 speed.
You can't have it a Juggernaut and then it'd be like a putter. I guess maybe you have a putter, but it's just like it's heavy as all get out.
It's like a pig on steroids.
Imagine.
That'd be kind of cool. But no, it looks like it's going to be around 11 speed disc. Going to be fast, probably stable. So those are some new discs to get excited about. I can't believe Innova can still make new things. It's unreal.
When we go and look at, and maybe this has changed because what I was going to get at is the wall at Pluto Sports, for example, our local disc shop that we go to, used to be almost entirely like the back wall was like just like Innova across. I mean, it was just like that was like
a huge section of Discraft, and then like Trilogy was over here.
Right. It was just like a little bit sporadically. And now, honestly, it's a very mixed shop. I mean, I love it because you get a little taste of everything.
And they've had to buy more racks, and like they sell. I mean, they've got everything. They've got Lone Star. They've got Clash. They've got who else? Mint. They've got Doomsday.
Dude,
have you seen the Doomsday disc? They've got that one that's got like a square rim. Like it's like It's sort of like one of the. It's kind of like
Like a
a
polecat type?
polecat, but it's got a thicker rim. It's like a 2-speed.
Huh. It's like a Franklin Sports disc.
What it feels like. But I watched Drew Gibson throw it on his latest video,
Huh.
and it flies pretty stable.
Interesting.
But since we don't have Thomas's top five, we'll have to come back next week for that. We're gonna finish off with a little bit of Foshi's fun and games. Last week I called it Trey's fun and games. That was
Yeah.
I ruined the alliteration.
Hey, it's all fun anyway.
It's all fun and games.
So last week we did 20 questions. There was Trey and then me, and Trey has a disc in mind, a like specific disc from a specific manufacturer, and I have to roll through 20 questions and try to figure out what it was. I barely, with a very heavy tip from Trey, got caught Riley.
Hey, and I'm gonna make a quick correction on that one. So
Is this gonna be what I think it is?
that man's not blonde.
There we go. I looked at that Instagram page on my own, and
I did too, because I was like, I'm pretty sure he's blonde, but it's like he's got his hair shut. Like lately, he's had his hair cut really short,
Yeah.
so it's hard to tell the color of the
Don't
hair.
get me wrong. I'm very confident I would not have gotten it regardless of that, but I did think about it.
I did too. I was gonna say something.
Yeah,
I'm glad you brought it up. Let's get into this. You have got to figure out this disc in 20 questions.
Like, you want to you'll keep track of the amount for me.
Yeah. I'll
Yeah,
throw
a
them out.
little calculator.
Yeah, I'll get my abacus out.
All right. Why are you doing it like that? You can just do like 1 + 1.
Oh no, I'm writing down your questions.
Nice. So I'm gonna say, is it higher than a 5-speed?
Yes.
Is it higher than a 9-speed?
No.
All right. Is it made by Trilogy?
No.
Is the brand in the top 5 retail sales manufacturers?
No.
Right. Is it in the MVP Axiom Streamline conglomerate?
No.
Okay. So take out a bunch there. How many questions have I had? 6?
You're on question 6. You're doing really well.
Okay. Very nice. So I've taken out the big boys. I figured out the group it's somewhere. It's either 6, 7, 8, or 9 speed. That's under the assumption that is it higher than a 9 speed? And the answer was yes, meaning 9 could be included in the
You asked if it was higher than a 9
Correct.
speed. I said no.
Oh, you said no. So
You're correct. It's between 5 and 9.
I said, is it higher than a 5 speed? You said yes.
Higher than a 5 speed, not.
So it would have to be a 6, 7, 8, or 9.
Yes, there you go. I can get behind that.
Is it made by Clash?
Yes.
Is it the cookie?
It is the cookie. Man, that was quick, dude.
Very nice. Very nice. Do you want to do another one?
Yeah, sure. We could. Yeah.
You just want to pick another disc?
Yeah, I can pick another disc. Let me see. You're gonna make me dig here. I'm gonna make you work for this one. You mean I don't even know what that disc is?
You give me like some a very offshoot Innova disc. Well,
that's exactly where I was.
How about you think of one for next week?
Yeah,
and we'll pull one in.
Oh, I've got one for you right now.
Right now?
Yeah, I've got one.
Right.
Right.
Is it in the top 5? And when I say top 5, I mean Innova, Discraft, Discmania. Why did my brain just leave?
I don't think you can ask it that way.
Is that not what I asked? When I said in the top 5?
Well, so it's that's
subjective.
That's a general question. Obviously, Clash is not in the top 5 yet.
Right.
So
okay. So I'm gonna start where I did last time. Is it over 5 speed?
Yes.
Is it over a 9 speed?
No.
Okay, so we're in the same realm as we were before. Is it made by Trilogy?
No.
Is it made by the MVP?
Yes.
Group? Specifically, is it Axiom?
Yes.
Is this disc in your bag?
No.
Um,
I think I even have a disc that would fit that description.
so it allows me to like take a few out of like which again, did you say you don't know if I know this disc?
No, that was when I was going to do the Innovat T-Rex.
Uh,
Do you know?
is it the Axiom Crave?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dang, you got it on 7 both times. You know your discs better than you know your disc golfers.
Dude, I do. Well, I know some discs, and when I get that was a whole lot easier to like narrow down than it was to say like, oh, what group are they? Like I can like completely throw out like a large section of discs in 2 questions.
Well, there you go.
So what a, like that.
No, that was
Yeah.
good. Well, we might have to bring that back again at some point.
Definitely.
Next week I'll have something different for you.
Y'all, we're probably going to have some more information about this Gannon stuff. We've got a lot going on in the background. We're going to keep you guys posted on some fun stuff going on.
Yeah.
We're excited for the Las Vegas Challenge, but we'll touch more on that next week as we preview it.
That sounds good, man.
Appreciate you guys watching. We'll catch you soon.
Thanks so much.